In this episode, let's have a look at the focus shifter. Now the focus shifter, very simply, is a really kind of lightweight follow focus. And if you're not familiar with the concept of a follow focus, focusing a DSLR lens when you're shooting video can be a little tricky. You've got to, you don't really have any frame of reference. You kind of have to get used to the lens, and that can be fine. But sometimes, especially if you're going to do a rack focus, where you have something that's distinctly out of focus and you want to be able to nail it, come right into focus on it, it can be a little tricky unless you have a follow focus. A follow focus helps a ton with that. However, to get a follow focus, generally what you need to do is you generally need to rig up your kit. You need to have rails. You attach the follow focus to the rails. You have to put gears on each of your lenses, sort of wrap them around the focus ring and line those up. And then you can use this follow focus, which is essentially a very large knob that makes it a lot easier for you to focus. And it also typically has a marker board where you can actually mark focus points. The focus shifter is very different from the standpoint that it's made for situations where you don't want to have to rig up and have rails and all those types of things. It attaches to your lens with what are essentially very heavy duty rubber bands. It also does have a marker board, so while you can move the lever to find your focus, you can also, if you're doing a narrative piece where you're going to do a rack focus and suddenly bring something into focus and you want to really nail it, you can mark on the marker board the focus point that you need to hit, or you can use these stops on the marker board to help the shifter actually stop in the exact spot you need it. Some things to keep in mind if you are considering something like this. This is really designed for sort of traditional DSLR lenses where you actually have a discrete focus turn where you can go from one stop to the other and it actually stops and doesn't turn anymore. And this makes it actually a lot easier to get that focus right if you're doing those narrative type pieces. Setup is very straightforward. What is involved here is using essentially what are very heavy duty rubber bands to wrap around your lens and hold the marker board in place. And first that needs to generally fit on in front of or closer to the camera body on a part of the lens barrel that doesn't turn. So that's generally going to be behind the focus ring and behind, I guess if we're talking from the front of the lens. And that just sort of holds in place. This is the part that's not terribly robust. You could actually go, walk by and knock this off pretty easily. But overall, again, for a lightweight, that's a trade-off you make. Then you attach the actual lever that does the focusing, and this wraps around the focus ring on your lens. Actually kind of an interesting little mechanism they devised here. So you essentially, first of all, put the counterweight opposite the actual lever. Then you tighten that up on the barrel of the lens by actually screwing the ball at the end of the lever. Works actually pretty nicely. Takes a little bit of time, but holds the lens very, very well. Then you'll want to kind of fine tune things a little bit so that the marker board covers the range of the focusing lever, obviously so that the focusing lever overlaps with the marking board, and then you're set to go. In the spirit of full disclosure, I actually applied to get this for a review unit. They actually gave it to me, and they did not specify what I needed to say, but I wanted to disclose that I did receive this for free. So overall, it seems like a decent little device. Is it worth $49 US? That's up to you. It solves a problem, and it solves it relatively affordably if you compare it to most other follow focuses. Is it as robust as most other follow focuses? I would say probably not, but if you don't need super robust, it's much lighter weight. It does take some time to switch it from one lens to another, but it has a kind of a unique mechanism here for doing that. And overall, I would say for what it's trying to accomplish, it does a decent job at doing that. If you have any questions about the focus shifter, go ahead and leave those down below. Also got a link down below if you're interested in that. Thanks for checking out this episode. If you have not already subscribed, make sure you do that, and be sure to get you more great videos on how to improve your lighting and sound for video. Talk to you soon. You may have noticed this week that my voice is a little raspy. I've got some allergies going on. I had planned on doing actually a piece on comparing 3 different audio adapters, one from Beach Tech, which we looked at previously, one from Ceramonic, and one from JuiceLink, the Rigi Assist 222. And we'll come back and look at those probably next week when my voice is doing a little bit better. But these are all audio adapters with XLR inputs on them that you can then route into your mirrorless or DSLR camera. If you're interested, make sure you get yourself subscribed.